Good afternoon, everybody. Are you ready to put an end to your exhaustion? Well, today we're going to talk about how you can make a significant difference and how much you are rested and how energetic that you feel. So I want to welcome you today to the Vibrantly Healthy Mom Show. My name is Laura Bostrom. I'm the host of the show, and this takes place every single Tuesday at noon Eastern time. And I am so glad that you have joined me today, whether you're here live or you are listening to the recording. So before we dive into our subject for the day, I would love to have you just let me know that you're here. Like I said, if you're here live or if you are listening to the recording, just say hello, tell me where you're tuning in from. You can comment below or simply just give me a thumbs up or a heart to let me know that you stopped by. So we've got summer coming. And when summer comes, we look forward to doing a lot of things that we aren't able to do necessarily during the winter months. And what do we need? We need energy. We need to be able to keep up with all the activities that we put on our calendar, right? So we need to be rested. We've got to get good rest in order to have all that energy that we need to do all the things that we want to do to be active in our lives and enjoy our time with our families. So, what's all the fuss about getting a good night's sleep anyway? Well, it goes much beyond what maybe just meets your eye when you think about sleeping at nighttime. We tend to just think about sleep maybe as being something where, well, it's time to go to bed. I'm a little tired. I got to go to sleep so I can wake up and start a new day. But there's so much more to getting a good night's sleep than just simply getting rested because you're tired. There are so many benefits to sleeping at nighttime. And I want to just share a few of those things with you because chances are you've maybe not even thought about some of this stuff before when you lay down to go to sleep at nighttime. But here's the thing. When you lay down to sleep at night, what's happening while you're out and you're not even thinking about things, you're just out cold. Our bodies have the opportunity to repair and restore themselves. So in all of the different organs in the body, the different systems in the body, it's a time for all of those systems within us to repair things and be renewed for another day, because we go one day after another, and if we don't give our bodies the rest they need at nighttime, those organs within us, they don't have a chance to be repaired and be restored for functioning throughout another day. Sleeping at nighttime is also super important for helping our memory to work in the way that it's supposed to. Think about all the things that we have to remember, from phone numbers to people's names, to maybe a speech you're going to give, or maybe remembering how to get to a location in your city. Think about how many times we just get in the car and we drive. We don't even need a GPS. We just go because we remember how to get there. Or maybe you are a student taking a class and you have to remember what the answers are for the test that you're going to take. Well, that requires memory on our part, and having a rested mind is going to help us to remember things far better. Also, our body has a break at nighttime when we're sleeping. Things like our blood pressure actually drop while we're sleeping. So our heart gets a rest. It gets a rest from all of the activities that we have during the daytime. Think about how we're in the hustle and the bustle and going. And as moms, think about the numerous activities that we have just to keep up with our kids. So, our heart and pumping the blood through our system doesn't necessarily get the break that it needs, but when we sleep at nighttime, it does. So we give that a rest. The other thing that happens when we're sleeping is our breathing slows down. It's more relaxed, and our muscles within our bodies, they completely relax. Like they don't relax all day, because if we're moving around, our muscles are being used and they can't rest and relax. So when we're sleeping, we just kind of chill out and relax in ways that we never could accomplish during our daytime hours. The resting process also reduces inflammation and healing within the body. And I know I've mentioned before here, I think just last week, talked about how inflammation is really the thing that's behind so many different diseases and problems within the body. So having inflammation be tamed within our bodies is super important to help us to live healthy lives. Sleeping also refreshes us mentally and emotionally. I know that if I don't get a good night's sleep, I am not able to handle near what I can handle if I'm well rested. So if there are things coming at me emotionally, I can be a train wreck if I have really like burned the candle at both ends too much. And I know that for many people, this is the case. If you are not rested, you're going to be short-tempered. So we need to be refreshed emotionally and mentally, and sleep can help us to do that. The other thing that happens when we sleep is our hormones, our energy, and our stress levels, they all are helped to be adjusted and balanced. So think about our bodies and the number of hormones that there are in them. And I'm not just talking about like female and male hormones. I'm talking about every function in the body requires hormones to make them work. And so if our hormones aren't balanced, so many things can go wrong. So it's super important to get the sleep that we need to help those be adjusted and balanced on a regular basis. And that goes for, like I said, our energy and our stress levels as well. So there's way more about sleeping at nighttime than maybe what you've even thought about before. So as you lay down to sleep at night, think about all of these kinds of things that are going to happen while you're doing nothing. You don't even have to be responsible for thinking about it. These things just happen while you sleep. Now, you might be wondering how much sleep is necessary. How much do I need to have? Well, typically speaking, the average adult requires 7 to 9 hours of sleep at nighttime. This is going to vary. I know for myself personally, I require a lot more sleep than my husband does in order to feel like I've had enough sleep. So it's important to listen to your body. Pay attention to what it is that you personally need. Because everybody's not the same. Everybody's a little bit different. Our activity levels are different. Our makeup is different within our bodies. And so it's going to be a little bit different for everyone. But on average, most everybody needs about 7 to 9 hours of sleep in order to get the proper rest, in order to have the kinds of things happen within your body that we've already talked about to get the benefits. Now, beyond quantity of sleep, there's also a couple other things to consider that maybe has not been something you even thought about. But there's also the quality of your sleep and the satisfaction of your sleep. Well, quality of your sleep, I think, is pretty obvious. What does that mean? That means that we're actually sleeping well. There are all kinds of things that can disrupt the quality of our sleep. Maybe you're a mom that's got a baby, a newborn baby, and that baby's waking up in the night. Well, is the quality of your sleep very good? Probably not. And there's not a whole lot that you can do about that. But the quality of our sleep can also be disrupted from maybe a husband snoring. I have a husband that snores. And so if there's things that you can do to help to prevent that or encourage that not to happen, then by all means try to improve your quality of sleep there. Or maybe you've got little kids that wake up in the night because they're having a nightmare. So maybe that's something that you need to work to address. Their nightmare situation so that you can get better sleep. Or maybe you're waking up too many times in the middle of the night because you're having to go to the bathroom. Well, maybe don't drink quite as much water before you go to bed. Or maybe you hurt in the night. Maybe you have sore muscles. So that would be something that you could work to address, is taking care of soothing those muscles before you go to sleep so that it doesn't disrupt your sleep. The other thing to consider, like I said, is our satisfaction. For me personally, and this is going to vary completely for everybody, but for me personally, I love to sleep with the air conditioning. Like, I turn it down at night because I like to sleep with it cold and then bury myself underneath our down comforter. That's just satisfying to me. And I like a feather pillow. I like it completely dark in the room and quiet, although I do like a fan running on high speed. There's that kind of the hum of the fan and that air blowing on me. That makes me feel very satisfied and gives me a whole lot better sleep than if I were to sleep in a hot room, still without that hum. I mean, these things are all super, super individual. So you need to determine what it is that gives you the most satisfying night of sleep so that you can get the best rest possible. So again, there's the quantity of sleep, there's the quality of your sleep, and there's also your sleep satisfaction. And those things all come into play with how good of a night's sleep that you're going to get. Now, the last thing I want to talk with you about today are some tips to help you get better sleep, okay? Because we face it, we all have times where we're not necessarily sleeping good, and it's like, what can I do to get better sleep? So let me share a few things with you that just might be of help to you. The first thing is blue lights, okay? And I'm talking about things like on our cell phones, computers, the TV, and a tablet. Any of those things that are emitting blue light are going to interfere with the melatonin that is supposed to naturally produce itself within our bodies. And so if you're on devices like this prior to going to bed at night, you're likely going to have trouble sleeping because that melatonin is not going to be produced. Because you see, and here's another really good thing to keep in mind too. It's helpful to get at least 20 minutes of sunshine, like being outdoors in the daylight. I don't mean like going out and laying down in the sun. I just mean getting out in daylight so that daylight, the sunshine is penetrating through our eyes like, it does when you go outdoors in the sunshine. And what happens when you do that is it helps to encourage the production of melatonin in the body. And melatonin helps us to sleep, fall asleep and stay asleep. But if, like I said, we're using our cell phone last minute before we go to sleep, and we're looking and scrolling through things, and then we lay down to go to sleep. We try to close our eyes and fall asleep. What's happened is that light has still been being produced there within our eyes, and it's giving our body the signal that, it's not, we aren't going to be prepping for sleeping here because, this light is still here, it's still daytime, and this person doesn't need to go to sleep. So let's not produce the melatonin. So I encourage you to stay off from all of those kinds of devices for at least 30 minutes before you go to bed, and better yet, an hour. And, find things to do like read a book, play a card game or a board game with a family member, listen to a podcast, work on a craft that you enjoy. There's so many different things that we can do that don't require using a screen that is emitting that blue light that is going to interfere with that production of the melatonin when we need it. So that's the number one tip for you. Number two, for me, I am a person that is a person of faith. I believe in God, and so for me, I cast my anxious thoughts when I lay down to sleep on God. I leave those things with Him. I know that there's nothing that can be done with things that I'm anxious about before I go to sleep. There's nothing I can do with them while I'm sleeping. I can't fix any problems. So I cast those on Him, and it brings such a peace over me that I'm able to get that sleep and not even think about those things anymore. The other thing is, when we come to the end of the day, it's super common for all of us to think about what we've accomplished for the day. And it can be discouraging when we see that the list of things that we haven't done for the day and feel like, oh wow, I'm a failure. Look at all these things I didn't get done. But instead of doing that, I would encourage you to get a piece of paper and jot down all of those things that you didn't get done for the day. And you know what you've already got for the next day? You've got your to-do list all set for the next day. So when you get up in the morning, you know exactly what you need to get to. So that has been very helpful to me. Plus, the other thing on the flip side of thinking about the things that I haven't accomplished, I also go through a whole thing in my mind of just thinking of what I have to be thankful for. I'll think of, just like I do this in the morning, I know I've shared this with y'all here before, I think about in the morning to start a day, to set my mind right, think of the things I have to be grateful for. But at nighttime, I do that same thing. I list 3 things in my mind as I'm laying there on my pillow of what I have to be thankful for that took place that day, the day that I just lived, what there is that was good and something to be thankful for. And those are the things that I'm thinking about while I'm drifting off to sleep. And more often than not, I'll get through a couple of them and all of a sudden I'm asleep. I wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh wow, I only got through 2 things and I was already asleep. It's super relaxing to my body and it helps me to really focus on the good and being grateful. Let's see. The other things I would encourage you to do as well, because I think a very common thing for many of us is when we lay down at night, what do we think of? We start thinking of all the things that there are to do and we don't want to forget. And it can keep you awake when you start thinking of more things. One thing after another comes to your mind, and it's like, oh man, I hope I can remember these things. And I more than once got out of bed, walked all the way to the kitchen to write it down, and eventually I got smart enough. I'm like, okay, this is really stupid. I'm getting out of bed, going out to the kitchen and doing something that I could maybe think of a smarter way to handle this. So I got a little notepad that I just keep in my nightstand drawer with a pen. And when those things come to my mind, I can quick jot them down. And then I know I'm not going to forget them, because usually what happens when I'm thinking of the things is the thing that's keeping me awake is I'm like thinking about, oh no, I'm going to forget this. And how am I going to remember it? And it's so stupid for me to do that when I can just write it down. And then in the morning I'll see it and I won't forget. The other thing is a lot of people will get involved in physical activities, whether it's exercise or it's something with work. Maybe you're in some kind of manual labor, or just managing your kids, and your body hurts at night. You're aching, and it keeps you from being able to fall asleep. So something that I have found to be really helpful is to get. I have a massage oil that's got some very soothing essential oils in it that I'll just rub into my muscles, and it helps to settle those down, calm those down in such a way where I can actually drift off to sleep. Routine. A routine is so important when it comes to bedtime. Having a little bit of a ritual that you have every night before you go to bed, like a pre-going to bed ritual, get your body ready to recognize the fact that, okay, now it's time to go to sleep. And there's something to that. There really is. So I would encourage you to think about what works well for you at nighttime. I have certain things that I go through every single night. And I repeat those, I just do them, and I go to bed and I go to sleep. I really, honestly, very rarely have trouble falling asleep because I do the same thing. Well, that's one of the reasons. I do the same thing every night leading up to going to bed. And the other thing that couples with that is having that routine of going to bed at the same time every night. And as close as you can, getting up about the same time in the morning. Now, are you going to be perfect at this? No. We are all going to have things that come up in our lives that are going to prevent us from being able to go to bed at that same time at nighttime. But, I have as my bedtime like 10 to 10:30, somewhere in that ballpark. There are times where one of our 6 sons will come over to our house, and they're here, and that is my top priority. The thing I value at the very highest on my list is my family and spending time with them. I mean, they're like a number one thing to me. So if they're going to be here, I'm going to be with them, and I will stay up late if I need to do that. But I have also learned in listening to my body that I can only do that 2 nights in a row. I can stay up later than my bedtime 2 nights in a row before all of a sudden I start feeling the effects on my body. I start feeling sluggish. I feel kind of dead in my brain. I just can't function. So know yourself well. Know what you can do. Know what your limits are. But as much as you can, be in a routine of going to bed at the same time every night. And then don't beat yourself up if you end up not getting to bed 1 or 2 nights at that time. It's okay. And then, a lot of people have a TV in their bedroom, and I get it. I totally get it. Enjoying watching your favorite movie or show or whatever as you're laying in bed. But it's not the best practice, and it is, just getting the TV out of the bedroom is really honestly the best thing. So if everything else that I'm talking about today you're already doing, but yet you're still having trouble sleeping at night, and you have a TV in your bedroom, you might consider changing that up and just seeing what that might do for you. Exercise. Exercise is great, but I would encourage you to make sure that you do it during the daytime hours and not like right before you go to bed, because actually exercising your body shortly before going to bed, for most people, is not something that's going to encourage you to go to sleep. Now, I know some people that swear by doing some exercise before they go into bed. They go to bed because they feel like it relaxes their body, and I guess it probably really depends on what kind of exercise you're doing. If you're doing some like relaxing yoga or stretching, those things definitely can help you to relax and get to sleep. But if you're doing that full all-out workout, where you're working up a sweat and all that, not necessarily the best thing to help you get to sleep at night if you're doing it in the evening. Also, create an environment in your bedroom that helps to encourage sleep. So when we put our bedroom together, we have like muted tones. We have like a very kind of relaxing picture over our bed, a beach scene that it's just like muted tones. And it really, rather than having loud colors in our bedroom, it helps to promote just that relaxing feeling and helping one to go to sleep. So that can also be a good tip to help you promote good rest for yourself. Also, dark and quiet. I know some people that need to have a little bit of a nightlight in their room, and again, everybody's different, but if you are having trouble sleeping at nighttime, try doing what you can, if your room isn't completely dark, to make it completely dark and to create a quieter environment for yourself. And then avoiding caffeine afternoon. I know a lot of people love their coffee, but get it in the morning hours instead, when it is that you are wanting to be awake. But once you get after the noon hour, then you want to not have that artificial stimulation in your body that could carry over into the nighttime hours when you're trying to get to sleep. And the other thing I'll mention is alcohol. Alcohol can be relaxing. It can be the kind of thing where people can get to sleep with it, but it's not going to be something that is going to be sustained to help you stay asleep. It can actually create interrupted sleep. So don't be fooled into thinking just because you fall asleep that means it's going to be a quality of sleep all night long that's going to help you to get the number of hours that you need at nighttime. And then here's another little tip as far as things going in our mouth. When it comes to food, when it comes to eating, I encourage you to eat no later than 2 hours before you go to bed. Because if our bodies are still working on digesting our foods, they need to do that. They need to sort out the nutrition that's there to have it be able to be utilized by your body. And if it's concentrating on that and focusing on that, it's not going to be able to drift off, go to sleep, get good rest. Because remember what happens at nighttime when we're sleeping. Remember what we talked about earlier here today, that when we're sleeping, it's a time for our bodies to repair and to be restored. And if our digestive system is working on, digesting food, it's not going to be in a state where it is able to be renewed and restored and any healing that needs to take place. That's not going to be able to happen. It can focus on just the one thing at a time. Let's see. The other thing that I would encourage if you're really struggling with sleeping well at nighttime is an aromatherapy bath. It can be so relaxing to the body and get you ready to be able to go to sleep and sleep very well. Something else that's a favorite thing of mine to do, I do this every single night, no matter what time of year it is. If you warm the middle of your body while you're going to sleep, it can be very relaxing. So I have one of those. I don't know if you've ever heard of a Bed Buddy before. I think I got mine on Amazon. Walgreens used to carry them. But you can just stick them in your microwave, warm it up for a couple of minutes, and then I just lay it across my middle. And it is so soothing and relaxing. And I find it really helps me to get into that relaxed state that allows me to get to sleep quicker. Magnesium and calcium. Make sure that you're getting the amount of magnesium and calcium that you need, because those, if you're lacking in them, could be very helpful to you in getting good rest. If you have trouble going to sleep, another thing you can do is just put on some quiet, relaxing music on your phone. I know my husband has an app on his phone that plays like he likes the ocean sound, which I do too. And I have done this in the middle of the night if I've had, on a rare occasion, woken up in the middle of the night and can't get back to sleep. I have put on like the waves coming on shore and one of those little apps that has sounds like that. And that can be very helpful, or maybe some lullaby music, something very quiet. And one of my all-time favorites are using things like essential oils like lavender. I just simply, I do this every night before I go to sleep. I'll just drop a drop in my hand, and then I'll put some on the back of my neck and on my chest, on the bottoms of my feet. And I breathe it in deeply, take the extra residue and just rub it on my pillow. And it's just a heavenly smell, and it really is relaxing to my whole body and helps me to get the sleep that I need. So I hope that some of these tips here will be helpful to you. And don't forget just how important it is for us to get a good night's sleep. And it sounds like we're finishing up just in time because my lawn people just arrived and it's super loud outside the window. I don't know if you can hear that. But yes, don't underestimate the value that there is in getting good rest at nighttime. It's so important to how we are going to feel the next day. And as moms, let me encourage you with one last thought. And this is like a mistake that I see so many moms making. When we are busy with our kids all day long, and then we get them ready for bed, we put them to bed, what's that feeling that comes over us? It's like, oh my gosh, I finally have time to myself. Don't make the mistake of then staying up half of the night, because in the morning you will be so sorry that you did, because your children are not going to be considerate of the fact when they wake up in the morning and think, oh wow, mom was up half the night, so I'm just going to lay here until I know she's ready to get up. No, it doesn't work that way. That's ridiculous. They are going to get up regardless of how late you were up at night. And there's nothing like being woken up by your children from a sleep in the morning. I personally, when we were raising our kids when they were little, I always liked to get up far before they did, because otherwise, if they were waking me up, I wanted to just climb under the covers and say, forget it. I'm already behind for the day. I cannot do this. I cannot face these children and all the responsibilities I have. So I encourage you, when you get your children to bed, still have your bedtime. Do the things that you have to do for a period of time. Get yourself prepared for a new day and get the rest that you need so that you are emotionally, mentally, and physically ready to face all of the challenges that you have in a new day. So I hope you all have a great day. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you back here again next week. Bye, everyone.